Johnny.
I'm reading The Shining by Stephen King, and I wanted to chronicle my experience with you. I am surprisingly really loving this book, which is making me so happy because at the end of last year, I tried picking this book up, read 2 chapters, DNF'd it, couldn't get into it, don't know what was going on. Then the Late Night Book Club decided to pick it as their January book pick. So I was like, okay, maybe this is my sign that I need to pick up The Shining. And I love it. It's so good. I'm so glad that I decided to give it a reread because I usually don't pick up books that I DNF. This is going to be a non-spoilery review of The Shining. So I'll be talking about some of the things that have happened in the book where if you've read the book, you'll know what I'm talking about. But if you haven't read the book, it won't ruin it for you. And yeah, I'm really excited to get started with you. Will there ever be a day where I film and I don't have to deal with the sirens? I'm on page 244. I don't know how many pages there are in here. I like really don't want to spoil myself. I've never seen the movie before, so I don't want to spoil the ending. Like when I was watching that clip, I don't even know if that's actually in the book or not because I know that the movie has added different things than the book, but yeah. So let's see. This book has 659 pages, and I don't know, it's like a third of the way, like about a third of the way through. So why am I liking this book so much? I don't like thriller books. They're not my thing. The reason why I generally don't read thrillers is because I feel like there's more of an emphasis on the plot than there is on the characters, and I am more of a character-driven person, so I like reading about character development and all that. I feel like this book is a thriller. It's a page-turner, but you also really get to know the characters, and it's almost kind of like, I know Stephen King doesn't like character studies or that term, but it kind of is like that. And I think that all of the characters, but Jack, who is the main character, Wendy, his wife, and Danny, I always get confused when it's like Danny, but he calls his dad Daddy. It's like Danny and Daddy, but they're all just like very well developed characters, and I really like it. So I'm just gonna like get into what the book is about for like 5 seconds because I'm probably the minority of the people that went into this book blind. But if you don't know, it's about Jack Torrance, who lost his job as a teacher. He struggles with alcoholism, and he decides to move his family to the Overlook Hotel so he could be the like groundskeeper, or okay, we're just gonna, I know you probably can't hear the sirens, but it's just a lot on this end of the screen. So yeah, I don't know what Jack is like. He's just taking care of the property during the winter because the property is closed during the winter, like the off season. And this is a really great winter read because it's like very spooky. I also they've just started kind of getting into the paranormal elements. I just think that adds a lot of character to the book, and it just makes it more interesting. This is the 5th Stephen King book that I've read. The only other horror novel that I've read by him was Carrie, and it like wasn't my favorite. And this is more acclaimed than Carrie, so I'm really, really liking it. To get in some of the things that I'm liking about this book, the beginning of the book is talking about, they're not even at the Overlook Hotel yet. They are just living their lives. You learn more about the characters, how they ended up to where they are today, yada yada. And then you get into when they actually go to the hotel and it closes down, and then they're just there by themselves, like doing their thing. There's so many things to talk about. First of all, I just learned what The Shining is. I didn't know what that meant before, so yay, I just learned what that is. I actually like don't want to talk about like what that means. Just for anyone else who's going into the book blind, you'll learn about what The Shining is on your own, but that was really interesting. Also, so I got to this part of the book which I thought was really rambly, and it just, because Stephen King can sometimes ramble sometimes, and he was talking about like the whole history of the Overlook Hotel, and like it was when Jack was like going through all those like news clippings in the basement, and I was like, okay, am I actually gonna need all of this information, or are there like specific pieces I need? I'm assuming it's just to show like some of the events that have taken place at the hotel in the past, but that was a little bit rambly for me. So I also just read the doctor scene today, which if you read the doctor scene, you're like, oh my god, he's like a smug you know what. Like, I did not like the doctor. He like just was like pretending that he knew what he was talking about, and yeah, so that was an interesting scene. It's just like hard because I actually don't want to say what actually happened in these scenes because I don't want to ruin it for anyone. Also, I got to the wasp scene, which was interesting because I know on the UK like special rainbow colorful editions of the book, there's a wasp on that copy. I'll put a picture of it right here so you can see what I'm talking about. Also, for my like special bind up copy of the book, there is a wasp, and I honestly had no idea why this was on there. I kind of assumed it was for Salem's Lot because that's in this bind up, but no, it is for The Shining. So I just got to that part and I feel like it's just starting to take like a real place in the story. I'm sure that he will add onto it. Yeah, this is where this is when I started reading The Shining, and then I DNF'd it. I don't like reading out of bind ups, I realized, even though this bind up is absolutely beautiful. I at least will have The Shining, so when I give my loaned copy back, I will have my own copy in case I want to look at something. I really didn't want to read out of this copy because I thought it was really ugly. It's one of those like newer glossy covers, but I really like the text in this book because it's really big and it just makes you like fly through the pages, and I'm just really enjoying not reading out of the bind up. Also, hello ring light. Okay, also Red Room, what is it? Red Room has been mentioned. They've been talking about it, and you see this 217. I just got to chapter 19 outside 217. Very excited to read that because I want to learn more about that room, what happens in that room. It's been kind of touched upon. One of my theories, which I'm kind of one of those people that reads, I just come up with all of these random theories about books that probably aren't true, but one theory that I did have was that Danny, which is Jack's son, holds on to the demons that live inside of his dad. That makes sense because Jack he's an alcoholic and he was also tormented as a child, or he was abused by his father. And I feel like what Danny is like holding on to a lot of those demons. That's like one of my theories. Again, that's not a spoiler. I just like completely made that up. But I don't know. I'll see if that actually like plays out in the rest of the book. So I'm not going to do this like as like a daily vlog. And I'm also like not doing anything that interesting. So I'm not really sure what's going to actually be happening in the rest of this blog or video or whatever. I am reading The Shining right now, and I'm reading a very similar book to The Shining, which is Northanger Abbey by Jane Austen. So it's been really cool to go back and forth between the two. Yeah, like how different can those books actually be? So I have to put this book down a little bit this week because I need to pick up Jane Austen again. Read Northanger Abbey, which isn't as much of a page turner, which is kind of a shocker to me, but loving this book so much. I'm excited to give you my live updates on the book, my thoughts. I have some other bookish things I want to show you, but I don't want to make this intro clip like super boring, so we're just gonna like save that till later. That's like not Stephen King related, but I gotta fill the vlog with something that's not always just talking about this book. And yeah, I guess I'll just continue on my updates when I get a little bit further along when the book and I actually see what's outside room 217. So until next time. So I've been doing a really bad job of updating you guys with The Shining. I'm still really loving it. I'm reading it a lot slower than I thought just because she's taking a minute and she's not as exciting as Stephen King. Like every time they walk into your room, I just think that they're going to stumble upon a dead body, and they don't. But I get enough of that with this book, and I'm basically almost done. Like I'm at like the point of the book where it's like really starting to like ramp up, you know? So I'm on page 536. Yeah, so I'm like way farther than I was the last time I checked in with you guys, and I'm still really, really loving it. So I'm trying to go through the book to remind myself of what I've read that I haven't told you guys about. Obviously, I'm going to be doing no spoilers, as I've said, so I'm just going to speak in like very vague terms. So at this point in the book, as I'm close to the end, I obviously know more about room 217. certain people have been inside of it, so that has been interesting to learn more about. The hedges, yes, I got to the hedges, which was another really interesting scene. And one of my favorite parts of the book is Jack and his character development and how much I don't even know like what's actually happening. Like so one of the things that actually was confusing me about The Shining was that I wasn't sure if the things that are happening in the book are actually happening or if they're all like a hallucination. So I don't know if that's that important of a plot, but I thought it was like an interesting way to think about it. Like if like these things happening or is everything in the character's mind? And it's been really interesting to see Jack's progression as he's like slowly like kind of crumbling and like going crazy and like how that's actually happening. I don't know if Stephen King is going to get into that at the end of the book where he kind of explains like where these things are coming from. I still kind of have the perception that all of the things that are happening outside of themselves are actually their own deep inner fears, but then also the Overlook Hotel itself is kind of wild. And I don't know, maybe I'm just like reading too much into it, but I'd like to understand more. If you have read the book and you kind of know what I'm talking about, let me know what your perception is. I don't know if he's actually going to answer that question or not, but I just think it's really interesting to see. And but Stephen King writes Jack's downfall in like such a realistic way. I don't know. I just think it's really, really interesting. Of course, the ballroom scene. I'm literally just like flipping through the chapters of this book just so I can remember like everything that's happened. The ballroom scene where Danny goes into the ballroom and then like you learn more about that room as well. And then let's see. The next part. Oh yeah, and then Halloran. Yeah, I'm not gonna say what happens, but I like his character. He's pretty cool. Curious to see what happens to him. I'm like really scared about this book because I like don't know what's gonna happen to any of the characters. The only person that I'm sure of is Jack because there's the sequel Dr. Sleep, so I know that he is going to live through all of this just because there's a sequel. Everyone else, I have no idea if they're going to live to tell the tale of the Overlook or if the Overlook will be their end, but I'm honestly kind of curious to know and also scared because I've read Stephen King before and he's not afraid of killing off characters that you like. So I don't know. Yeah, I'm kind of curious to see. Obviously, I'm not going to say anything towards the end of the book, but so I also, what part did I just read? I just read about Jack going into the ballroom and like that scene and like his experiences. I also like read about his time with like the furnace or whatever they call it in the book, like the boiler. I like wasn't quite sure what he was doing and why he was doing it. I have like an idea of why. I don't know if he's just becoming so like absorbed with the Overlook and like the Overlook is like really getting to him or he decided to do that. I don't know. Anyway, that's where I left off was on when Jack was in the ballroom. No, that's not true. So actually I left off where Halloran is, you know, doing the thing that he does towards the end of the book, which I'm obviously not going to get into because I don't want to spoil anything. And then the next chapter I'm going to read is called Wendy. So I'm assuming that's going to be about Wendy because I haven't had much from her perspective during the book. But yeah, that's really all I can say just because I obviously don't want to spoil anything. I'm loving this book so much. I wish I honestly was reading it by itself and not like adding in like a classic. I'm reading it really slowly, but I've also been kind of busy. This is like one of those books you just like want to sit down and like just read really quickly, but I just like haven't been able to do that. I'm loving it. It totally reads like a thriller and it's just so Stephen King. I don't know what it is. Like he's just so good at writing books. Obviously he's written a lot of books. So one of the things that I actually want to talk about really quickly before I talk about other things is this book scary? So because I'm like not a scary movie person. I've never like the only other horror book I've technically read was Carrie, which you know. And so this is apparently supposed to be like one of the scariest books of all time. I'm not finding it super scary. Like, I can read this at night and go to bed and be fine. I think that this reads like a novel, and then obviously it has paranormal and like creepy stuff in it, but I feel like the creepy things would be creepier if you were watching the movie. I feel like just because I'm imagining them in my head, like, it doesn't scare me that much. Definitely is like spooky though. So if you're like a major scaredy cat and are worried about reading this book, I would not worry. I haven't gotten to the end though, so that's my analysis for right now. I think things are really heating up right now because I'm on the last like 100 pages. Yeah, like I have like a little over 100 pages left. So yeah, that is The Shining. I also just like wanted to share with you some other bookish related things that are like very not Shining related. But I ordered some books in, and I just like wanted to show them to you. This one I'm so excited about. Is this not the cutest thing? So I ordered Little Women, as you can see, and this is the Penguin. The Penguin Puffin Books edition or whatever. You can order it on Amazon. Honestly, all the editions of Penguin books that come like this are just so cheap. I don't know why. Like, this was just like $12, and it's so cute. I absolutely love it. And it's like very chunky. I ordered this book just because it's bigger, so if I take a long time with it, I don't have to worry about the library. But and those end papers, excuse me, metallics. I mean, metallics on a cover of a book is my absolute favorite, but I like it. I also really like how the text is really big and the pages are really like little. Actually, same with The Shining. The Shining, like, the text is really big in this copy, and I really appreciate that. So I don't know when I'm gonna read this book. I kind of was thinking that I'd read it in March because it's like the March sisters. Is that cheesy? I don't know, but I was so excited to get this in the mail. I've been wanting to read this ever since I was a little girl. So, well, I've attempted to read it, and I didn't. And I feel like I owe it to my little girl self to actually do it. And then this book, this book is also very beautiful and metallic-y, and this is Crime and Punishment. I should have remembered how to say his name. It's like Fyodor Dostoevsky. I have to actually look that up. When I read the book, I will obviously learn more about him. So I was actually planning on reading this copy, and then I realized it's just like way too fragile to read. So the spine is like completely broken. It comes off. It's like on right now, but it completely detaches, and then when you like open the book, it kind of like, you can't really like open it all the way. So yeah, this is what I'm talking about. Yeah, so it's a little fragile, so I might just like use this as decoration on, I don't even have a bookcase or a bookshelf. That is how booktuber-ish I am, but just like on a table, and then actually just like order the book from the library to read it. But I thought this edition was really pretty, so if you've read Crime and Punishment, let me know. I am excited to read it, but also scared because, I don't know, after Northanger Abbey, I'm just like, ugh, classics. But this is also like a psychological thriller, so it's kind of like The Shining, but like, but not, because it's not The Shining. Versus this is just like fluffy romance. I don't know. I just want it to be done. I'm supposed to finish it tomorrow, so anyway. That is my reading update. I'm sorry I've been like so bad about updating you guys, but I'm going to continue to read The Shining, and then I will update you when I'm done, probably on like my final thoughts. I'm kind of like scared to see what happens, but I am really excited. This book has actually inspired me to pick up more King this year, because I kind of like was reading a lot of King and then I put a pause on it, but I really want to read Pet Sematary in February. So if you are a Pet Sematary person or fan, let me know in the comments below, because that is the next Stephen King book that I'm going to read. Also, just let me know what your favorite King book is, because I want to read certain books of his, but I might be missing some. Like, right now on my radar is Pet Sematary, The Stand, which is a commitment, but kind of compelled to read it. And then, like, The Dead Zone interested me. But just let me know in the comments down below, like, what your favorite King novel is and what you think I should read. And yeah, I will update you guys when I actually finish the book. Okay, I actually totally forgot that I wanted to show you guys some things. So yeah, I just got this vase, and then I put these like really cute like fake branches in it that has these little string lights, and I just think it's actually like a really inexpensive and cute way to like spice up a room. And I finally hung my paintings. So this is a painting my mom did for me, and then I ordered this from Wet Pulp, or I think I can link her down below. It's an Etsy shop. It's based off of like Noelle Gallagher's channel, and I just love it because, I mean, it's so cute and it's inspiring because I just want to read more books. And then I also have, hello, you can see me, this painting that I actually hung up finally. There's my setup over there, but yeah, really excited that I finally got all of these paintings set up, and I just wanted to show you before I chat with you next. Finished The Shining yesterday, and it's officially done. I really enjoyed this book. It's probably up there with one of my favorite Stephen King books, which isn't saying a lot because this is only my 5th one, but I'm so excited to continue on with my Stephen King journey. Just so you kind of are aware of what my final thoughts are, I'm actually going to be releasing a video where I try to predict the end of The Shining. That's gonna be out sometime later this week, so just get ready for that. Yeah, it's a little bit weird, but the ending, so I felt, in my opinion, I'm actually curious to know like what your guys' views on the ending are. I thought that the story itself was more interesting than the ending. I thought like the character progression and like how the story was moving forward over the course of the novel was more interesting than actually how the book ended. And I was actually like a little bit confused on the ending, so I was like looking online the explanation of the Shining ending, and I found one that was for the movie because I thought it would be the same, and then it started talking and I was like, whoa, that is not what happened. And I realized that the Shining, how it ends in the movie, is nothing like how it ends in the book, like at all, which is kind of crazy. From what I've heard, there's a lot of differences between the movie and the book, and I haven't seen the movie still. I mean, maybe one day I'll actually watch it just because I'm so interested in the story. But I think that how they explained it was Jack Torrance is more of a loving and caring father who slips into madness, rather than in the movie he's like not like that. He's like always kind of like absent, or like kind of a weird father figure, and then goes kind of crazy, but he's like kind of crazy the whole time. So, I mean, I liked how, like, we were able to sympathize with this character. Also, I said something wrong at the beginning of the vlog. Dr. Sleep is actually Danny Torrance, is, like, the boy, like, him, I don't know, 20-something years in the future. My bad. I thought it was Jack. So, yeah, that's interesting. Oh, something else I wanted to talk to you guys about, which I think is interesting because... So this is obviously like the basic new edition of The Shining, but there's like many other editions of The Shining. This cover, this does not happen in the book. I think that's so wild. Like, also, this does not happen in the book either, yet they put them on the book covers. I just think that's so weird, but whatever, it doesn't really matter. But ultimately, really loved it. I think it's great. I guess I would say I'm happy with the ending. Like, I wouldn't change anything. I think I've heard mixed opinions on like whether, I don't know. Again, like, let me know your thoughts. I'm actually really curious. Overall, this was an amazing reading experience. I'm so excited to read Pet Sematary. And yeah, just make sure to be on the lookout for that vlog. Hopefully it goes just as well as The Shining. Yeah, this book was amazing. If you've considered reading it, I would definitely recommend picking it up. It's not super scary. It's a great character analysis. The story is really great. And it's definitely like spooky, but I wouldn't say it's scary. And make sure to take a look out for the video where I try to predict the ending / just kind of get into Stephen King and The Shining in like a different way. I just didn't want to add it to the end of this video because I didn't want to make it too long. But thank you so much for getting all the way till the end of this video. I really appreciate it. Don't forget to like this video and subscribe to my channel if you haven't already. And I will see you guys in the next one.